A ship of peace, a night of fire, in the deep silence of space. A white ship floated slowly. It was not a warship. It had no guns, no missiles, no shields made for battle. It was called the White Dove, a hospital ship. Its only mission was to heal. Inside the ship there were doctors, nurses, and thousands of injured beings. Some were human, some were alien. They had come from many worlds, many battles. They were hurt, broken, but safe. Or so they thought. Children laughed softly in the nursery bay. A nurse from Earth gave warm soup to a wounded alien soldier. Another nurse from Mars adjusted the oxygen for a breathing tank. Everywhere, there was calm. No one expected death to come. On the bridge, Captain Elena Gray looked at the stars. She had served for 20 years. She believed in peace and helping others. "We are not soldiers," she had once said. "We are healers." But that night, peace ended. Without warning, a bright red light flashed across the stars. The ship's sensors screamed. Alarms began to ring. Captain Gray stood up. "What is that?" she shouted. A junior officer answered, panic in his voice. "Incoming object. Fast. Too fast." Before they could raise shields, the object hit. A huge explosion tore through the side of the ship. Fire spread through the medical bay. Pressure doors closed, trapping some inside. People screamed. Some tried to run. Others tried to help. "Send a distress signal," Elena shouted. "Already sent, Captain," someone cried. In the children's ward, Nurse Maya covered 2 small aliens with her body as fire came close. She didn't survive, but the children did, for a while. On Earth, the signal arrived 2 minutes later. It was a short message. Broken, full of static. "This is White Dove. We are under attack. We have no weapons. Repeat. No weapons." Then, silence. Earth Command tried to call back. No answer. Satellites searched for the ship. Finally, they found something. Nothing but wreckage. Burning metal. Frozen bodies. Pieces of what was once a ship of mercy. On Earth, the world stopped. The news spread fast. People cried. Families screamed. Candles were lit. A million voices asked, "Why would anyone bomb a hospital?" Governments held meetings. Military leaders stared at the screen in disbelief. This had never happened before. Even during war, hospital ships were protected by law, by honor. Who would break that rule? In the United Nations command room, Earth's president, Layla Zhou, stood silently. She looked at the images of the White Dove's wreckage. "How many lives?" she asked. "Over 3,000, ma'am," the officer said. "No survivors." There was silence in the room. Then she said slowly, coldly, "They wanted war. They will get war." Meanwhile, in a dark part of space far from Earth, a small alien ship watched the destruction. On board, a lone alien sat at a console. He had seen the bombing. He had seen the symbol on the enemy ship. His hands shook. He knew what would come next. Earth would rise. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but something ancient, something dangerous, had just awakened. Not a weapon, not an army, but the fury of a species that never forgets. They bombed a hospital ship, and now humanity was angry. The fury wakes. 3 days had passed since the White Dove was destroyed, but the fire had not cooled. On Earth, the people mourned in silence. Schools held moments of silence. Cities dimmed their lights. In every home, in every heart, there was a question burning like a flame: who did this and why? In a quiet village in India, a father lit a candle for his daughter, a nurse who had served on the ship. In a space station orbiting Mars, a medic stared at the empty bunk of his best friend. From Jupiter's moon colonies to the deserts of Africa, billions watched the same broadcast, pieces of the ship floating in cold space. No one claimed responsibility. No alien government stepped forward. No enemy sent a warning. It was as if the attack came from shadows. But Earth did not sit still, a top-secret underground bunker beneath Geneva, the United Space Intelligence Division, called USID, was working day and night. Agents searched every signal, every satellite feed. They checked enemy movements, but the data told them nothing. Then came a whisper, a small message hidden in the static of the White Dove's final transmission. One of Earth's AI systems caught it, only 5 seconds long, distorted but clear enough to hear a few words. They wear the mark, the 3 stars, and run. They are not who they say. The message came from a medical robot on board the White Dove. It had been damaged, but somehow its final message survived. Scientists cleaned the signal. The words became clearer. The mark of 3 stars. Agents froze. They knew that symbol. It belonged to a sub-faction of the Krizari Empire, a cold, secretive alien race known for science, not war. The main Krizari government was part of the Galactic Council, and they had always acted friendly toward Earth. But this symbol, it was different. A splinter group, a hidden part of the Empire. Earth sent a message to the Krizari High Council demanding answers, but the response came slow. Too slow. "We are shocked," they said. "We know nothing of this." But Earth's intelligence officers noticed something strange. Krizari ships had changed their patrol routes. Some border stations had gone dark, and 2 days after the bombing, a Krizari diplomat vanished, disappeared without a trace. Something was wrong. Back in the Geneva Command Center, General Rahim al-Sabah slammed his fist on the table. "They're lying," he said. "They know who did this, and they're hiding it." President Laila Jo stood across from him. Her eyes were cold. "Calm. Then we'll find the truth ourselves," she said. Earth activated Project Wrath. It was a silent plan, created long ago after the first alien war. No one had ever used it. Until now. Dozens of stealth ships left the solar system. Secret listening posts went live. Elite operatives disappeared from their homes. Soldiers from all nations were recalled quietly. Something was moving in the dark, and not just humans. From a small moon orbiting Saturn, an old alien, named Dranex, sent a message to Earth. He was once a prisoner of the Krizari. He had escaped long ago. "They are not what they seem," he warned. "Their empire is made of layers, lies on top of lies. If the 3 stars were seen, then something worse is coming." Earth listened, but there was still no proof. Then, something unexpected happened. A ship drifted near the edge of human space. Damaged. Powerless. A rescue team brought it aboard the ISS Valkyrie. Inside, they found one survivor, an alien girl, barely 20 years in her species' age. Burned. Scared, but alive. She had been on the White Dove. "I saw them," she whispered. "I saw the ship that bombed us." "Can you describe it?" the doctor asked her gently. She nodded. Black metal, no lights, no windows. And the mark. 3 stars. Burning red. "Why did they attack?" someone asked. Her eyes filled with tears. "They weren't after the patients. They were looking for something." "What?" the doctor asked. She looked up slowly. "A name. A human name." The room went silent. "Whose name?" the general asked, leaning closer. The girl opened her mouth, but before she could speak, the lights went out, alarms screamed, gunshots echoed. The Valkyrie shook, violently. Someone had found her, and they didn't want her to talk. The enemy. No one expected. The Valkyrie floated in silence. Inside, the emergency lights blinked red. Smoke filled the hallway. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Soldiers ran through the corridors, weapons ready. "Secure all decks." Commander Juno shouted. They had been attacked from the inside. Someone had planted a bomb in the med bay. Just minutes after the alien girl said she knew the name the attackers were looking for. Now she was gone. Not dead, not wounded. Missing. The room where she had been held was destroyed. Only a deep hole remained. Melted walls, twisted steel, and a strange black mark burned onto the floor. 3 stars. General Rahim stood near the wreckage, his face dark. They silenced her, he said, right before she spoke the name. President Layla Zhou watched from a secure video feed on Earth. Then we're getting close, she said. They're scared. Scared enough to attack our ship? Rahim asked. Yes, she said. Because they know what happens when humans are angry and not afraid. Meanwhile, in deep space, a small stealth ship moved between asteroids. On board were 5 agents from Earth's secret division, Omega Shadow. Elite, nameless, trained to hunt ghosts in the dark. Their mission: investigate a hidden Krizari science station near the dead star system, Zeta 9. The station had no name, no traffic, and according to official Krizari records, it did not exist. Agent Lyra, the team leader, looked out the viewing window. You ever seen a place this dead? Asked Agent Cole. No, she whispered. And I've seen hell. The team docked silently. Inside the station, it was cold. No lights, no signs of life. But then, movement. A shadow ran across the corridor. Fast. Not human. They followed. Room. By room, the truth unfolded. They found cages. Not for animals, for people. Human prisoners, some dead, some barely alive. Experiments, implants, scars. One man, still conscious, looked up as they entered. They were looking for someone. He coughed. A human, a child. Who? Lyra asked quickly. They said, he's not normal. He's a weapon. Before he could say more, the lights turned red. The station's alarm began to howl. They were not alone anymore. At the same time, in the Krizari homeworld, Ambassador Thalvek stood in front of the Galactic Council. His hands were calm. His face, stone. We offer our sorrow, he said. What happened to the human hospital ship was a tragedy. We are investigating as well. But Earth's representative, Ambassador Jensen, did not look convinced. He stood up slowly. We have proof, he said. Your people knew. Gasps echoed in the chamber. These images, Jensen said, pointing to a screen, were taken from a secret Krizari facility. Human prisoners, tortured, used as lab rats. The council members began to whisper. And this, he said, voice rising, is the symbol found at every scene, the mark of 3 stars, a symbol from your own empire. The Krizari ambassador stayed silent. He did not deny it. He only said, those who carry that mark do not serve us. They serve something. Older, Jensen asked. Thalvek nodded once. Before our empire was born, there was a cult. The Tri-Star Order. We buried them long ago. Or so we believed. The room fell silent. They believe in a prophecy, Thalvek said. A future war. They believe a human child will lead the galaxy into fire. They call him the voice of wrath. Earth's ambassador narrowed his eyes. Are you saying they bombed a hospital ship to find a child? Yes, Thalvek said. And if they haven't found him yet, they will keep burning until they do. Back on Earth, President Zhou stood before her war council. They are hunting a child, she said. One of ours. We don't know who. We don't know where, but we will find him first. General Rahim nodded. And what if the prophecy is true? Zhou looked him in the eye. Then God help the galaxy. Suddenly, a message came through. Urgent. Priority 1. A scientist from Mars Research Base Alpha, his face pale, his voice shaking. We ran the DNA samples from the captured facility and compared them to missing records. We found a match. Who? Zhou asked. The screen flickered. A name appeared. Kai Adler. Age, 14. Location, unknown. Status, vanished during a refugee transfer 6 months ago. The screen froze. The room went cold. The child they were looking for was already missing. Somewhere out there, the boy was alive, and the galaxy's deadliest cult was hunting him. Final. Seen a distant planet. Mountains. Cold wind. A small boy hides in a cave. He has strange eyes, glowing faintly in the dark. He hears voices, whispers, in a language no human has ever spoken, but he understands. He closes his eyes, and the rocks around him begin to shake. He is waking up, and soon, so will the fury. Human wrath begins. The hunt was over. Now came the response. No more silent meetings. No more waiting for truth. The bombing of the White Dove, the lies of the Krizari, the kidnapping of the alien girl, and now, the missing child named Kai Adler. Everything pointed to one thing. War had already started. President Leila Zhou stood before the United War Council. The room was quiet. Every nation was present. China, India, America, Europa, even former enemies now stood together. Holograms of military leaders filled the air. For years, Zhou said, we believed peace was possible, but peace dies when the innocent are slaughtered. She paused, her voice lowered. They killed our wounded, they kidnapped our allies, and now they want our children. She looked around. No more warnings, no more diplomacy. We answer now, with fury. The Wrath Fleet, Earth's secret space fleet hidden for years, was now fully activated. Named Project Wrath, it had one purpose: strike deep, strike fast, and never be seen. Stealth ships. 12 dreadnoughts, 3 AI-controlled hive ships, and a new weapon, the Skybreaker, a prototype that could bend gravity itself. Command of the fleet was given to Admiral Dara Jenkins, a cold strategist known for fighting with logic, not emotion. But this time, even she wanted revenge. First target, she said, is the hidden base in the Raven Nebula. Intel says they are hiding Krizari scientists in something called Project Revenant. No one knew what Project Revenant was, but everyone could guess it wasn't good. The Raven Nebula. A ghost in the Dark Wrath fleet entered the nebula under full cloak. The dust clouds were thick. Visibility was low, but the sensors had locked onto energy spikes. Something artificial was there. No comms, no warnings, Admiral Jenkins said. We don't knock on the devil's door, we kick it open. The human ships emerged like shadows. Lasers, fired. The enemy base, hidden inside an asteroid, barely had time to raise shields. Human Marines landed inside. Close combat. Silent, brutal, fast. One of the soldiers, Lieutenant Amira Solis, found a lab filled with cryotubes. Inside them, human, children unmoving, frozen, tagged. One tube had Kai Adler's name scratched on it, but it was empty. Amira radioed command. They had him, but he's gone. Someone took him from here. As she spoke, she noticed a screen still running. A journal. The scientist had written in fear. We made a mistake. The boy is not a child. He hears things, speaks dead languages. The AI can't analyze his brain. He's not evolving. He is remembering. We woke something old, and it wants control. Amira took the logs. They needed to know everything. Just before they left, she saw something on the wall. A drawing, made by hand. 3 stars. Under it, one word written in blood. He's ours. On a moon, far away, Kai Adler opened his eyes. He was no longer in a cave. He was in a temple, old, ruined, built by hands long dead. Around him, strange writing glowed softly. He walked slowly. Whispers followed him. Not loud, not scary. Almost familiar. He placed his hand on a stone altar. Suddenly, images rushed into his mind. A war from thousands of years ago, a dying planet. A child born with memories of a forgotten race, a voice that could command machines, bend gravity, touch the mind of stars. The whispers grew louder. You are not human only. You are something more. Kai fell to his knees. His eyes glowed silver. Something inside him was awakening. Meanwhile, On Earth, Admiral Jenkins returned with the Wrath fleet. She presented the evidence to the President and the Galactic Council. Pictures of the children, the lab, the logs, the 3-star mark. The galaxy reacted with shock, but not everyone was surprised. Many species had feared this day, not because of Earth, but because of what might be hidden within humans. They always grow fast, a Tharn ambassador whispered. They adapt, they fight, but what if they remember? President Zhou addressed the galaxy. We don't fear this child. We fear those who would harm him. She paused. But know this. Earth is not hunting anyone. We are protecting our own. If you try to take him, you will face the full fire of humanity. Her final words became a declaration across star systems. You bombed a hospital ship. We came with fury. And this is only the beginning. Final scene on a dark ship hidden in deep space. The leaders of the Tri-Star Order sat in silence. A priestess bowed before the Shadow Council. The boy is active, she said. The wrath has begun. One of the elders whispered, Good, let him grow. The galaxy fears war, but we will feed it. They all turned to a black screen. On it, the face of Kai Adler, young, glowing, full of power, and at the bottom, in red letters, Project Revenant, Phase 1, complete. The battle for the moon was not on any map. It had no name. It orbited a dead planet in a forgotten system, hidden behind layers of space dust and magnetic storms. No one lived there. No one visited, except now. Kai Adler. He had followed. The whispers here. He didn't know how he knew the path, but something inside him did, like a memory from another life. He was not alone. As he stood on the cold surface, strange machines rose from the ground. Tall, silent, ancient. They had no engines, no wires. They were made of stone, metal, and something not yet known to science. But they responded to Kai's presence. When he touched one of them, it lit up. Glowing lines moved across the surface like veins waking up after a long sleep. Deep below the surface, something opened. In orbit above the moon, Earth's recon drone picked up the energy spike. We found him, said Commander Juno. Admiral Jenkins ordered immediate action. Get him before they do. A fast response strike team launched toward the moon, 12 Marines, 2 androids, and a psychic analyst. Their mission? Extract the boy, bring him home, but they weren't the only ones heading there. The Tri-Star Order had already arrived. Their ships didn't show up on radar. Their soldiers didn't use normal weapons. They came like ghosts, slipping through cracks in space, their faces hidden under metal masks marked with 3 burning stars. On the moon's surface, Kai walked into the ancient temple. The air felt thick, heavy with memory. Symbols glowed on the walls. He didn't read them, he remembered them. He placed his hand on a pedestal. The ground shook. Deep below, the moon itself began to shift. Walls moved. Something buried was waking up. Behind him, the shadows moved. A voice echoed in the chamber. You should not be here, child. Kai turned slowly. A woman stepped forward. Tall, thin, wearing armor of black glass. Her eyes glowed red. Her voice felt like cold wind. You carry a flame that does not belong to you, she said. Who are you? Kai asked. I am Priestess Velen, she said, and you are the beginning of the end. Suddenly, gunfire. A blast echoed from above. The ceiling cracked, debris fell. Humans had landed. Admiral Jenkins's strike team burst into the temple. Stand down, shouted Lieutenant Solis. We're here for the boy! The priestess laughed. He's not yours, she said. He's ours. With a wave of her hand, the shadows came alive. Black armored warriors dropped from the ceiling. Their movements were too fast, too smooth. Like machines with blood. A battle began. Bullets flew. Beams of light clashed. Psychic screams echoed as the Tristar cult used powers far beyond known science. One Marine was pulled into a wall of shadow and vanished without a sound. Kai stood frozen. Kai, Solis shouted. Run to me. He looked at her, then at the priestess. Both sides wanted him. Both sides feared him, but Kai didn't want to run anymore. His hands lit up. The machines in the room responded. Walls shifted. The ground opened. A giant obelisk rose from the floor, marked with a symbol not seen in 1,000 years. Not 3 stars, but 4. The priestess's eyes widened. No, it can't be. Kai looked at her. I remember now, he said. His voice had changed, not deeper, not louder, but older, too old for a child. You're not the only ones with a prophecy, Kai said. The machines began to hum. Then, a pulse, light exploded outward. Everyone, human, cultist, even the androids, fell to their knees. The machines had accepted Kai as their master. He was not just the target, he was the key. Above the Moon-Earth ships watched in shock as the entire surface of the moon began to shift. Symbols appeared across the crust. Massive plates rotated. Towers emerged. The dead moon was a weapon built by an ancient race. Now it had awakened, and it had chosen Kai. In the TriStar orders hidden, a dark chamber filled with chanting stopped as the pulse hit them. The machine world has accepted him, whispered one of the elders. Then we are out of time, said another. Phase 2 must begin. He must be captured alive, the priestess said, her voice crackling over the comms. Or the galaxy burns without us. Final scene. Kai stood alone in the ruins. Human soldiers and TriStar cultists lay around him, injured, unconscious, or crawling away in fear. But he felt no joy, only fear, not fear of others, fear of himself. Inside his mind, a voice whispered, "This is only the beginning. They made you to fight. But you will decide what survives." Kai looked at the stars, and somewhere, far, far away, something else woke up. Something that had been waiting for him. Return of the Forgotten. The galaxy was silent. For now. But silence can be a warning. After the battle on the nameless moon, both human and TriStar forces pulled back. They had seen something that terrified them, not each other, but Kai. He was no longer just a missing child. He was no longer just a survivor. He had awakened something impossible. Earth Command. Secret Council Chamber President Lila Zhou watched the replay again. The moment the moon shifted. The towers, the machines, the light, and Kai, standing in the center like a conductor of an invisible symphony. This is not just power, said Dr. Mitchell, head of Ancient Tech Division. This is design. That moon was built, planned. It's a weapon, yes, but also a beacon. For what? Joe asked. For whoever built it, he replied. And they are coming. Somewhere in deep space. Beyond known star maps outside every patrol route, a ship moved through a black cloud of dust and dying stars. The ship had no name. It had no crew. And yet, it lived. Machines inside whispered in old languages. Metal groaned like it remembered. Worn in the center of the ship, a single word pulsed in red light. Kai located. The ship changed direction. It began its long journey toward him. Kai's location, unknown. No one could find him. Not Earth scanners, not TriStar's agents. Not even psychic probes could trace him. But he was not hiding. He was learning. Far below the surface of the moon, he sat inside a massive chamber made of stone and starlight. The machines had formed around him. They taught him without words. They fed him memories, not from books, but from the bones of time itself. He saw civilizations rise and fall. He saw wars fought with minds and machines. He saw the creators of the TriStar cult, not as gods but as thieves. They had stolen knowledge. They had used fear, and they had tried to erase the true builders. But one secret had survived. A message, hidden deep in the moon's heart. Kai stood before it now. A giant door, smooth and black, pulsing like a heartbeat. 3 lines of glowing text appeared. You are the echo. You are the fire. You are the last chance. He touched the door, and it opened. Meanwhile, Tri-Star Order Citadel panic had begun to grow. Priestess Velen had failed to bring Kai. The cult's secret leaders met in an underground council chamber. 12 masked figures. Cold, powerful. One of them spoke with a voice like broken glass. The boy unlocked the obelisk. The gate is opening. Impossible, said another. He is remembering faster than expected. A third figure stood. Then we must begin phase 3. They turned to a glowing orb in the center of the table. Awaken the forgotten, one of them whispered. Even if it kills us all? Yes. Earth's Shadow Archive. Level 9. Classified. Only one man had access to the lower vault. Agent Elias Khan, former intelligence chief. Now in exile. President Zhou called him back. We need answers, she said. He walked slowly past metal doors, locked files, and ancient warnings. Then he stopped in front of a frozen body, sealed in glass. He's like this one, Elias said. Who? Zhou asked. Elias stared at the body. A child found 200 years ago. Never aged. Mind unreadable. He died before we could study him. But when he did, 5 satellites crashed, 4 people went blind, and a moon split in half. You think Kai is the same? No, Elias said. Kai is worse, because he's not an accident. He was made. Kai's temple, deep chamber. The door led to a long bridge, floating over nothing. Kai walked across. At the end, a throne waited. Not made for a king, made for a commander. When he sat, the room lit up. A galaxy map appeared in front of him, millions of stars. But 5 were marked in red. 5 ancient weapons, the last legacy of the Forgotten Ones. A voice echoed through the room. You are the trigger. You are the voice. Speak and the old fire shall rise again. Kai whispered one word. Why? And the voice replied, because they feared your kind and killed us all. Final scene. The dead stars flickered. On 5 hidden planets across the galaxy, ancient machines began to glow. Deep under their surfaces, old cores reactivated. Codes written in forgotten languages started to run. The galaxy did not feel it yet. But soon it would, because the forgotten had returned and their fury was older than time. When the stars fear humanity, the galaxy watched and held its breath. Across thousands of worlds, screens lit up. Satellites picked up signals. Stars dimmed. 5 ancient machines, each the size of a continent, had awakened. No one knew their purpose. No one, except Kai Adler. Earth Command, War Room. What do you mean we don't control them? Admiral Jenkins shouted. They're not ours, replied Dr. Mitchell. Those machines answer to Kai, and only Kai. President Zhou stood silently. The screens around her showed chaos. Alien fleets were moving, some toward Earth, others toward the 5 awakened planets. But the scariest part? The Tri-Star Order had disappeared. They've gone underground, said Elias Khan. They knew this would happen, they planned for it. What is their goal? Zhou asked. Elias hesitated. To wake up a god, deep space. The forgotten Moonkai stood in the throne room. The stars glowed around him in a perfect map. The 5 machines pulsed in red. He could feel them, like fingers of a giant hand. He didn't control them, but they listened. He could guide them, but only if he chose who he wanted to be. He asked the voice in the machine, "What am I?" And it answered, "You are the child of memory, the weapon of peace, the destroyer of chains." But another voice whispered behind him, "Or the bringer of control, the perfect tool for order." Kai turned. The priestess stood behind him, alive, smiling. "They tried to stop me," she said. "But you called me here." "I didn't," Kai said. She laughed. "You don't know what you want. That's why you're dangerous. With a wave of her hand, a blade formed, made of light and shadow. You must be shaped, Kai. Before you break everything. Battle begins. Before she could strike, the room shook. A human ship entered orbit. Admiral Jenkins had arrived. Drop pods landed. Earth's best soldiers entered the temple. We're here for Kai, she said. Stand down. The priestess raised her blade. He is no longer yours. Then we'll take him, Jenkins said, but Kai shouted, stop. His voice echoed like thunder. Walls cracked. Everyone froze. No more war, Kai said. No more sides. He looked at both of them. You want to use me. Both of you. But I'm not a weapon. I'm a warning. Memories unlock in that moment. Kai's memories returned. He wasn't born on Earth. Not fully. He was grown. By the Tri-Star Order. But the code inside him, his mind, came from a forgotten race. Wiped out by fear. Not because they were evil, but because they remembered too much. They had built the machines to protect knowledge, to protect freedom. But others, like the Tri-Star Order, used fear to silence truth, and Kai was the final echo, the last memory made flesh. Galactic Council Emergency Broadcast President Joe appeared on every screen across the stars. Her face was calm, strong. We know fear, she said. We know loss, but we also know this. We will not be ruled by shadows. We will not be pawns. We choose light. We choose truth. And we choose to stand beside Kai. If you come to harm him, you declare war on Earth. Some species joined them. Others ran. The stars began to split. Final war begins. The Tri-Star Order launched an assault on the 5 awakened machines. Human fleets moved to defend them. In deep space, wars were fought not with ships, but with ideas. Kai entered the heart of the machine network. His body was flesh. His mind was now light. He saw everything. He saw every world, every war, every lie. He saw the future. 2 paths. 1. Controlled, peaceful, ordered, but hollow. The other, dangerous, free, wild, but full of life. He made his choice. Kai speaks to the galaxy. His voice echoed in every mind. He didn't shout. He whispered. You were lied to. You were made to forget. But your fire is not gone. It sleeps. And now, I wake it. In that moment, the 5 ancient machines activated, but not to destroy, to reveal. Entire star systems, hidden for centuries, appeared. Truths, buried in time, rose from dust. The Tri-Star Order's lies were exposed. The people rose. They overthrew the cults. Kai had not started a war. He ended one. A war of silence. Epilogue. Years later, Kai disappeared. No one knows where he went. Some say he became light. Others say he sleeps beneath the moon. But the galaxy remembers. A child who was never meant to exist, who stood between chaos and control, who chose freedom. And ever since that day, the stars have watched humanity not with anger, but with fear, because they now understand. When humanity stands together, even the stars must listen.